Hey guys, it's Beltran. So I have this gigantic Cymbidium here. I purchased it about a month ago, and you can see in comparison with my lawnmower, it's actually bigger than my lawnmower. It's really unruly. So I think what I'm going to do is, first of all, I will have to repot it, but I'm also going to divide it because I think it's just too big to fit into my greenhouse. And I thought I would just show you guys what I do. Like, I'm just gonna go through it really quick because I'm not gonna go through the entire process of it. I'm just one person, so I can't really divide and also videotape at the same time, so I'm gonna try my very best. So an important thing to remember too is that I don't know where this pot has been. It's probably been outside in someone's yard, or I don't know where, but it's also been outside in my yard for the last month and maybe a week or so. So whatever's in the media needs to be cleaned up pretty well, or if there's snails or slugs, they need to be gotten rid of. I have to inspect the leaves as well, so this is a good time to go through it. This plant is pretty healthy from the look of it, and I already inspected it before I bought it, but you always want to flip the leaves over and see if there's anything. So like this dot here actually is not scale, it's just some dirt on it, but it's always good to flip over the leaves because sometimes you can't see it on here, but scale usually sometimes they're on the top as well, but scale usually will be on the bottom, and it will look like a white creamy dots, and when you use your fingernail and push it off, it's going to fall off, and they usually come off pretty easily. The ones that are still alive will leave sort of like a juice on it, and the dead ones will be really dry. So let me find an orchid for you where I show that. So do you guys see this dot right here? This is from another orchid. My mom's friend gave this to me, and let me see if I can focus in on it, but that's scale. This plant used to have a ton more scale, and I could not bring it into my greenhouse. I had to leave it in a very secluded location, and after spraying it, I would say 5 times with insecticidal soap, I think it's ready to be brought into the greenhouse. But I'm going to leave it outside for a bit longer because I don't want to take my chances. Okay, so you see that dot? I'm gonna run my fingernail across it, and it leaves no sticky or wet residue, which means that it's dead. But this one probably has been dead for a while now. You want to inspect your leaves like some more, like that, just test it out. These are all dead and have been dead for a while because I've had this plant for 2 months, and I've been spraying it with insecticidal soap. This one is just something that I use and is better than the other ones. I've been spraying, I use like two containers already on this plant, and I'm still feeling like I need to keep it outside for a little bit longer because there are just many of these dead leaves here that I need to remove and spray some more. It's always nice to make sure, but let's go back to the other plant and go through the inspection process again. Okay, so back to my healthy plant. When you look at the leaves, you can also flip back, not only to look at scale, but to see if there are tiny, very, very tiny textured dots on your leaves, and usually that will mean that it was suffering from spider mites. You can also wipe the bottom of your leaf with alcohol, and you can use like paper towels or whatever. Wet the paper towel with alcohol and wipe through it, and if you see like red dots, or you see like little creatures running on the plant, that means you have mites. So this one, there's no evidence of that. Like I said before, I really inspected this orchid before, but there's one thing that I could not see were snails and slugs, which I'm sure it has because it's been sitting outside my house for like a month. If you guys don't want to touch all the nasty stuff, you can wear gloves. I usually don't, but I've been scolded way too many times on not wearing gloves and all that stuff, so I'm going to wear gloves so I don't get scolded by one of you guys. But let's just pull this out. This is just some dead moss, and you don't need that in your life. You can get rid of it. This one has very little of the dead leaves. The other one I just showed you guys had so much dead leaves, and usually it is because this one is probably grown indoors, like in a greenhouse, or it was in a building, a rental location where this plant was rented out. But the other one that was given to me by my mom's friend was an outdoor plant, and that person did not really care about bugs. They didn't care about slugs and snails or whatever. They just grew just to grow. So that's the difference between the two. This one was from a store which rented out their plants, so they have to look good. Okay, so it looks like it's not too tightly pot bound, but I can already see some slugs in there. Lots of slugs. And yeah, this slimy thingy down there, that's a slug. Now, a good way to take it out of its pot, because I think it's actually not packed tight in its pot, it's pretty loose in its pot, is lay it on its side. And what you're going to do is you're going to use one hand to pull this out, and the other hand, which I don't have right now because I'm holding my camera, is to pull the pot out. So then the two are going to separate, and you're going to see all the slimy slugs in there. Okay, so this is actually a really big surprise. I pulled it out, and it's actually 3 separate plants that they put into this huge container, which is I would say pretty nice, because now I don't have to really divide them. They're already separate plants. But you can see that some of them, like this one is like a whole chunk of dead roots. Most of it is just like bark, like very fine bark or soil that's in there, and I see some slimy things moving. So you guys can see that there's a slug right there. It's crawling. Yikes. Okay, so now you have 2 things that you can possibly do. You can get your hand and go through the process of pulling all this media out. You can spray it with water, with a really strong, like high pressure water. If you have like one of those nozzles that have the jet option, this is something you could do, but you still have to go in with your hand and just kind of work through it like hair. The other option would be to get a knife, a sterilized knife, and just chopped off half or a third of the bottom. This is something that a lot of very experienced growers will do as well. It won't hurt the orchid, and usually this is something that people will have to do because there's just so much going on here. It would take me about half a day to clean it up, and most of the roots are completely dead. The good thing about chopping off part of it too is that you get a lot of the dead roots, and you also get the slugs out. Which, where did the slugs go? Yeah, they're really fast. Okay, that's gross. This is what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to get a knife and chop it off. I do this to all of my Cymbidiums, and they have grown really healthy, and also they've bloomed for me every year. So this is just something that I prefer to do. It takes less time because I just have so many orchids. They're just isn't enough time for me to do it all. I would get rid of some of the dead leaves if I can. Like I said, this one doesn't have that many dead leaves. Bugs and insects and all that other stuff can get in between the dead leaves and just stay there, and you don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're probably harming your plants, but this is just an opportunity for you to go in and clean everything up. But yeah, like look at all these roots. These are actually dead roots, so I can just pull them off like that. That's a slug. That's gross. Okay, I want to show you guys the process of me cutting this. I actually sterilize this one instead of a knife, and I just went in and I chopped off about half of the roots because I didn't want to have to deal with so many slugs. And most of the new roots are actually up on top, which is a good thing. I don't know why my voice was so squeaky. Now that I have my 3 butchered plants right here, I'm gonna use my hand to kind of work through all the roots that are left. A lot of them are dead. You can see like these. I can pull them out, so most of them are dead anyway. And all these are dead roots. So I'll just work yeah, see how they're just kind of falling apart? Like that, they're really dead. So this is a good opportunity to kind of clean them up. And then what you want to do is use the hose. If you have the nozzle, use the jet spray, which is really high pressure water, and just kind of jet spray all the dirt or soil away, and try to get as much of the old media gone as possible. They will bounce right back. Like this butchering is actually a way for them not to suffocate in their own dead roots, pretty much. And all the new roots that are coming out are going to be healthy and nice, and because Cymbidiums are very hardy and they grow roots like crazy, in 1 year they could grow roots enough to fill up the pot again, whatever pot that you put them in. So if you don't do this, you will have to put them in a very a pot that's a lot bigger, because they are going to grow very, very fast. And these are all like the dead ones right here. They're just falling apart, and all the wiry roots are on the inside. So just clean them up. I'm gonna go and turn off the camera and clean these up, and then I'll come back with whatever I have. Alrighty, my plants are cleaned up. I went a little crazy with cutting the roots, but a lot of them were dead, so I didn't really cut any healthy roots. It seems like the healthy roots are still kind of growing out here. The new growths are putting out the new roots, and the new roots have not really gone down here that much. There were some, but not really. Most of them were so dead and decaying, so they weren't working at all anyway. But I mixed a solution of hydrogen peroxide and water, which you can also just buy hydrogen peroxide of about 3%, and I'm going to soak my plants in here just to kill all the bacteria and clean it up just a little bit. And I'll probably leave it in there for about 10 minutes each, and then I'll go ahead and pot them. So let's put this one in here, and they're gonna start to fizzle. Just gonna, since it's just soaking for 10 minutes, I can soak a lot of the plant in there. It doesn't hurt the plant. I find that it actually cleans up a lot of the debris as well when you soak it in the water, and you just have to watch it fizz up. It's kind of neat to watch them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I can agitate it a little bit to get all the debris out. This is a good time to really get all the small pieces in there that you didn't get before. And just leave it soak for about 10 minutes or so. I'm done. So finally I was able to clean them up and pot them into these big deli containers. So the problem is I ran out of bark, so I had to use these packing peanuts as filler, which is okay, but it's not my preferred method. I would prefer to have just bark in there. I made just one small hole at the bottom instead of having holes on the side because it's really dry in my environment, and for my experience is that if I do a lot of holes on the side, when I water the water will go through all the holes on the side, and then the bark wouldn't really have time to soak in any of the water. So the entire container is just pretty much dry bark. And sometimes the water will flow through the different cracks and certain specific cracks and go through the holes on the side, and none of the roots will get any water because it drains way too fast. So when I do a hole at the bottom right here, at the very bottom, which you can't really see, I fill the container with water all the way up, and you can see it's still slowly draining down, and this way the water isn't draining way too fast, so the bark is actually able to have some time to soak in that water. And this is just my method of doing it because I feel like this way my bark is able to get more water, and the roots are also able to get more water. So I just filled these two containers up, and they're still draining a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I have some steak, not like the eating steak, but these steaks in here to stabilize the plants because right now the roots aren't attached to the media yet. So that's all I have in terms of repotting a huge orchid, which turns out to be 3 anyway. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.